spend 3 weeks reading internet reviews before buying a $20 toaster, but you'll hand over your entire life savings to a guy in a tailored suit just because he smiled and used the word algorithm. Humans don't want the truth. They want a comfortable, expensive lie.
Welcome back. We all like to think we are far too intelligent to be scammed. We lock our doors, we shred our bank statements, and we confidently ignore spam emails. But history proves that human greed and pure arrogance are universal vulnerabilities. The greatest thieves didn't use guns or crowbars. They used charm, fake documents, and your own desperate desire to get rich quick. Today, we are exposing 30 of the most genius, audacious, and absolutely real scams ever pulled off. From selling gravity to Wall Street to making dogs immortal, these people hacked the human brain. Keep your hands on your wallets. Let's get started. Fact 1. The gravity-powered truck. Trevor Milton decided he wanted to be the next Elon Musk, but actually building a working electric vehicle was far too much effort. He founded Nikola Motor Company and promised the world a revolutionary zero-emission hydrogen truck that would change logistics forever. Investors eagerly threw billions of dollars at him, desperately wanting a piece of the green future. He even released a highly convincing promotional video showing the massive truck smoothly cruising down a highway. The problem? The truck didn't have a working engine. Milton's engineers literally towed a hollow, empty metal shell to the top of a very long, steep hill and simply pushed it. He sold Wall Street on the groundbreaking, revolutionary technology of gravity. He became a billionaire by proving that objects roll downward. Fact 2. The $175 million Excel spreadsheet. If you think the biggest banks in the world do careful research, meet Charlie Javice. In her 20s, she founded a startup called Frank, which supposedly helped college students navigate financial aid. She approached J.P. Morgan Chase to buy her company for $175 million, proudly claiming she had over 4 million active users. The bank executives were thrilled and bought it immediately. When J.P. Morgan finally decided to email those users, 70% of the emails bounced back. Javice had secretly paid a computer science professor $18,000 to generate a massive list of fake names, addresses, and phone numbers. She successfully sold the most powerful financial institution on Earth a completely fabricated Excel spreadsheet for $175 million. Fact 3. The immortal dog investment. Sarma Melangailis was the undisputed queen of the New York vegan food scene. Her elite raw food restaurant was a magnet for celebrities and billionaires. But her thriving empire collapsed when she met a man named Anthony, who convinced her he was a highly classified Black Ops military agent. He didn't just promise her love, he promised her that if she passed his tests, he would use secret government technology to make her pet dog literally immortal. The tests required transferring millions of dollars from her restaurant's payroll directly to his casino accounts. She stole from her own employees to buy immortality for a golden retriever. The grand illusion finally ended when this elite, secret vegan agent was arrested because he ordered a Domino's cheese pizza to their motel room. Fact 4. The fake Carnegie heiress Cassie Chadwick realized a fundamental truth about American capitalism. Bankers are absolutely terrified of offending billionaires. In the early 1900s, Andrew Carnegie was the richest man in the world. Chadwick forged massive promissory notes bearing Carnegie's signature and casually walked into major banks, claiming to be his secret, illegitimate daughter. She told the bankers that Carnegie was quietly funding her lavish life to avoid a public scandal. The bankers were so blinded by the sheer proximity to Carnegie's immense wealth that not a single one of them actually picked up the telephone to call him and verify her story. They handed her millions of dollars in cash. She bought diamonds and solid gold furniture, proving the easiest way to rob a bank is convincing them you already own it. Fact 5. The salad oil swindle. In the 1960s, Anthony DeAngelis realized that Wall Street bankers rarely inspect the physical goods they finance. DeAngelis owned a vegetable oil company and needed cash. He approached major banks asking for huge loans using his massive storage tanks of salad oil as collateral. The bankers climbed to the top, looked inside, saw oil, and handed over $175 million. But DeAngelis was a master of basic middle school physics. He had filled the giant tanks almost entirely with cheap seawater, leaving just a thin layer of real salad oil floating on the very top. When the inspectors dropped their dipsticks in, they hit oil and signed the paperwork. He nearly crashed the global commodities market using a garden hose and tap water. Fact 6. The Fire Festival Disaster. Billy McFarland didn't just sell a fake product, he sold an exclusive millennial dream. He heavily marketed the Fire Festival as the ultimate luxury music experience on Pablo Escobar's private island in the Bahamas. He paid supermodels to post orange squares on Instagram, promising luxury villas, gourmet catering, and mega yachts. Tickets sold out for up to $100,000. When the wealthy, spoiled guests finally arrived, there were no villas. They found leftover disaster relief tents soaking in the rain, and their gourmet meal was a single slice of processed cheese on wet bread served in a styrofoam box. McFarland successfully conned the most privileged kids on Earth into paying a fortune to participate in a brutal, real-life survival camp. Fact 7. The Brooklyn Bridge Sale. George Parker was a man who looked at the Brooklyn Bridge and didn't see a miracle of engineering. He saw a giant, beautiful cash register. Back in the early 20th century, Parker made a highly lucrative living selling the bridge to newly arrived immigrants. He didn't just do it once. He sold it up to twice a week for years. He would set up fake real estate offices, print incredibly official-looking forged ownership documents, and convince wealthy tourists that they could make a fortune by setting up toll booths. The New York police literally had to make it a routine part of their daily patrol to stop angry new owners from erecting wooden barriers to charge pedestrians. Parker understood that ambition easily overrides common sense. Fact 8. The suicidal hedge fund manager Sam Israel ran the Bayou Hedge Fund, raising $450 million from elite investors by promising impossible returns generated by a secret computer program. The program didn't exist. His team was just drawing fake profit charts. When the FBI finally cornered him, Sam decided to execute the ultimate exit strategy. He parked his SUV on a high bridge over the Hudson River, dramatically wrote the phrase, "Suicide is painless," in the dust on the hood, and vanished. The police spent massive resources dragging the river for his billionaire corpse. Meanwhile, Sam was hiding in a senior citizen RV park. He ultimately turned himself in a few weeks later for one simple reason. His cell phone battery died, and he couldn't stand being disconnected from his girlfriend. Fact 9. The $50,000 plastic wand. If you think modern military budgets are protected by rigorous scientific testing, meet James McCormick. In the early 2000s, this British businessman bought a batch of cheap novelty golf ball finders for about $20 each. He ripped the stickers off, slapped on a new label, and sold them to governments around the world as high-tech molecular bomb detecting devices. He charged up to $50,000 for a single unit. These devices had absolutely no working electronics inside them. They didn't even have a place to put a battery. McCormick made tens of millions of dollars while soldiers confidently walked through active war zones, waving useless pieces of plastic. It is a terrifying testament to how easily bureaucratic corruption overrides elementary school physics. Fact 10. The original Ponzi scheme. Charles Ponzi didn't invent the concept of robbing Peter to pay Paul, but he perfected it so beautifully that his name is forever branded on the crime. In 1920, Ponzi promised investors in Boston an impossible, guaranteed 50% return on their money in just 45 days. His supposed genius strategy involved trading international postal coupons. The public went absolutely insane, mortgaging their homes and handing him millions of dollars in cash. The reality was that Ponzi wasn't buying any coupons at all. He was simply taking the cash from the new investors today and handing it to the investors from yesterday to create the illusion of profit. When the math finally caught up with him, he took down 5 banks and ruined thousands of trusting families.
Are you feeling superior yet? Half of you watching this currently have a monthly subscription to a vitamin pill that promises to fix your bald spot, and the other half are hiding money in a digital coin named after a cartoon dog. You are all just one convincing PowerPoint presentation away from bankruptcy. Let's keep going. The greed only gets worse from here.
Fact 11. The black turtleneck illusion. Elizabeth Holmes dropped out of Stanford, put on a black turtleneck, and lowered her voice to convince the world she was the next Steve Jobs. She claimed her company, Theranos, invented a miraculous machine that could run hundreds of complex medical tests using just a single drop of blood. She raised billions of dollars from elite investors and military generals. The reality was that her revolutionary box was completely useless. Behind closed doors, terrified lab workers were secretly taking the blood samples and testing them on standard commercial machines bought at the store. She became a paper billionaire and a Silicon Valley icon simply by refusing to blink and lying to everyone's face, proving that a deep voice can replace a medical degree. Fact 12. Funding. The Wolf of Wall Street, Joe Low, was a Malaysian financier who successfully looted $4.5 billion from his own country's sovereign wealth fund. But what makes this scam truly genius is exactly how he spent the stolen taxpayer money. He didn't just buy super yachts and throw massive parties for celebrities, he deeply infiltrated Hollywood. Joe Low actually used the stolen government funds to finance the production of the blockbuster movie The Wolf of Wall Street. Yes, a movie completely dedicated to exposing the greed and corruption of a massive financial fraudster was literally paid for by an even bigger, real-life financial fraudster. The public paid for a ticket to watch a movie about theft, entirely funded by a fugitive hiding from the law. Fact 13. The fake German heiress. Anna Sorokin arrived in New York City with a vague European accent, a closet full of couture clothing, and a spectacularly audacious story. She convinced the elite upper crust of Manhattan society that she was a wealthy German heiress with a $60 million trust fund waiting for her back home. Operating entirely on sheer confidence and fake bank statements, she lived in luxury hotels, ate at Michelin-starred restaurants, and nearly secured a massive loan from Wall Street banks to fund an exclusive arts club. In reality, she was the daughter of a Russian truck driver and didn't have a dime. She exposed the ultimate vulnerability of high society. If you confidently ignore the price tag, rich people will gladly pay your dinner bill. Fact 14. The Tinder Prince. Shimon Hayut, better known as the Tinder Swindler, took the classic romance scam and upgraded it to a luxury corporate enterprise. He posed on dating apps as Simon Leviev, the billionaire son of a famous diamond king. His scheme was brilliantly simple. He would invite a woman on a lavish first date aboard a private jet, completely overwhelming her critical thinking skills. But the private jet was actually paid for by the credit cards of his previous victim. It was a romantic Ponzi scheme. Eventually, he would stage a fake security crisis, sending panicked videos claiming his enemies were tracking him, begging the women to take out massive loans to save his life. He funded 5-star hotel stays globally using nothing but modern fairy tales. Fact 15. The Blockchain Mirage. Dr. Ruja Ignatova walked onto the stage at Wembley Stadium wearing a sparkling ball gown and bright red lipstick, boldly declaring that her new cryptocurrency, OneCoin, was the ultimate Bitcoin killer. The crowd went absolutely insane, ultimately handing her over 4 billion euros. She promised a complete financial revolution for the masses. There was just one tiny, incredibly hilarious problem. OneCoin did not actually have a blockchain. It had no underlying technology whatsoever. The rising numbers on the investors' screens were literally just entries in a basic Excel spreadsheet that her administrators could change at will. When the authorities closed in, the crypto queen boarded a flight to Athens and dissolved into thin air. Fact 16. The man who sold the Eiffel Tower. In 1925, Victor Lustig read a newspaper article complaining about the high cost of maintaining the rusting Eiffel Tower. While normal people just turned the page, Lustig saw a massive payday. He forged highly classified government documents, invited the top scrap metal dealers in France to a luxury hotel, and secretly told them the city had decided to tear the monument down. He chose the most insecure, gullible businessman in the room and successfully convinced the man to pay a massive cash bribe just to win the fake demolition contract. The buyer was so utterly humiliated by his own immense stupidity that he never even reported the crime to the police. Lustig got away completely clean, returning a month later to try selling it again. Fact 17. The legal counterfeit. In the 1920s, a Portuguese man named Artur Alves Reis realized that printing counterfeit money in a dark basement was far too dangerous and difficult. Instead, he forged a highly classified contract claiming to represent the Central Bank of Portugal. He traveled directly to London and confidently presented the fake contract to the official, prestigious printing company that manufactured real Portuguese currency. They believed his story about a secret colonial operation and gladly printed him millions of perfectly legitimate, watermarked banknotes. Reis flooded his country's economy with real cash, founded his own bank, and even tried to buy a controlling stake in the actual central bank just to fire the people investigating him. Fact 18. The golden wedding ring. In the 1990s, a Canadian mining company called Bre-X claimed to have discovered the largest gold deposit in human history hidden deep in the Indonesian jungle. The company's stock price absolutely exploded, turning penny stocks into a $6 billion empire. Wall Street analysts enthusiastically told their clients to buy everything. But the chief geologist, Michael de Guzman, was pulling off the oldest trick in the book. He was secretly filing gold dust off his own wedding ring and sprinkling it into the crushed rock samples before sending them to the laboratory. Billions of dollars were invested, based entirely on the metal shavings from one guy's jewelry. A $6 billion corporation was built on nothing but a cheap metal file. Fact 19. The $1 million pronoun. Adam Neumann convinced the world he wasn't just aggressively subletting expensive office desks. He was actively elevating the world's consciousness. He founded WeWork, walking around the office barefoot, drinking tequila during morning meetings, and banning meat to save the planet. His company was valued at $47 billion despite losing money faster than a sinking ship. But the absolute peak of his incredible audacity was selling a trademark to himself. He changed the company name to The We Company, and then personally sold the trademark rights for the word we back to his own bleeding corporation for nearly $6 million. He successfully forced his highly educated investors to purchase a basic English pronoun. Fact 20. The $65 billion antique computer, Bernie Madoff, was the absolute gold standard of Wall Street. He was the former chairman of the NASDAQ, a highly respected philanthropist, and the man you literally begged to take your money. For decades, his investment fund showed impossibly steady profits. But his ultra-exclusive trading floor was just a locked room on the 17th floor with an ancient computer from the 1970s. Madoff's team simply used an old dot matrix printer to print completely fabricated financial statements. No trades were ever made. It was a $65 billion illusion built by depositing new client cash to pay off the older investors. The largest financial fraud in global history survived for decades simply because his suits were too expensive to question.
You're sitting there thinking, I would never fall for that. Please. Madoff robbed the smartest bankers on Wall Street. Elizabeth Holmes robbed United States military generals. They didn't fall for the scam because they were stupid. They fell for it because they wanted to feel special. They wanted to be in the VIP club so badly that they never bothered to check if the club was actually on fire. Human ego is the easiest lock to pick in the entire world. Let's look at the final 10. I promise, the audacity only gets worse from here.
Fact 21. The pork-eating prince Anthony Gignac, a Colombian-born orphan adopted by a family in Michigan, spent 30 years pretending to be a wealthy Saudi prince. He drove Ferraris with fake diplomatic plates, wore expensive Rolexes, and convinced wealthy Florida investors that he had direct access to the royal family's oil pipelines. They desperately handed him suitcases of cash to get in on his exclusive deals. But his massive, decades-long royal illusion completely unraveled over a single lunch. During a business meeting, the supposed devout Muslim prince enthusiastically ordered and ate a plate of prosciutto bacon. The investors finally got suspicious and called security. Gignac proved that if you simply wear the right sunglasses, people will gladly hand you millions. Fact 22. The boy band Blimp Fleet. You know the legendary pop music groups the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC? They were created by Lou Pearlman. But the music industry was just a loud, flashy cover for his real business, a massive $300 million Ponzi scheme. Pearlman sold shares in a company called Transcontinental Airlines, heavily boasting about a massive global fleet of private jets and luxury blimps. For 20 years, major banks and investors threw money at him, completely blinded by his Hollywood success. The shocking reality? The airline did not exist. Pearlman literally used photos of small toy airplane models in his official investor brochures. He funded the boy bands with the stolen money, and then stole the money the boy bands earned to keep the illusion alive. Fact 23. The 50 billion euro gamble. Do you think your credit card debt is bad? Meet Jérôme Kerviel, a mid-level trader at the French bank Société Générale. He wasn't a criminal mastermind. He just really wanted to impress his bosses. Using his intimate knowledge of the bank's security systems, he secretly started placing massive, unauthorized bets on the European stock markets. He hid his tracks with fake offsetting trades. He pushed it so far that he eventually opened positions worth 50 billion euros. That was literally more money than the entire bank was worth. When the market violently turned against him, the bank panicked and sold everything at a massive loss. A French court ordered Kerviel to repay almost 5 billion euros. On his salary, it would only take him 170,000 years. Fact 24. Forging history itself. Most art fraudsters simply paint a fake canvas and try to pass it off as a masterpiece. John Drew went much, much further. He realized that elite art experts don't just look at the paint, they look at the paperwork. Drew hired a talented but struggling artist to paint fake works of famous modern masters. Then, Drew infiltrated the highly secure archives of London's most prestigious museums, including the Tate. While the librarians weren't looking, he secretly glued fake pages and forged receipts into 30-year-old exhibition catalogs. He literally rewrote the history of art to create a flawless past for his fake paintings. The experts checked the historical archives, saw the fake pages, and confidently authenticated the absolute garbage. Fact 25. The fake Vatican agent. This charismatic Italian man moved to New York City and realized there is no global brand more powerful or blindly trusted than the Catholic Church. Raffaello Folieri boldly announced that he was the official, exclusive financial agent for the Vatican, appointed personally by the Pope to sell off real estate in the United States at a massive discount. He hired nuns to sit in his office for decoration and sometimes wore priestly robes to meetings. High society investors believed him instantly. He even dated Hollywood star Anne Hathaway for 4 years, spending his investors' cash on private jets and luxury dog walkers. The illusion finally shattered when the Vatican released a public statement clarifying they had absolutely no idea who he was. Fact 26. The dead crypto billionaire Gerald Cotton founded the Canadian cryptocurrency exchange Quadriga CX. He was supposedly the only person on Earth who knew the highly encrypted passwords to the offline cold wallets storing $190 million of his clients' money. Everything was going great until Cotton traveled to India to build an orphanage and suddenly, conveniently, died of complications from Crohn's disease. The passwords officially died with him, locking the funds forever. But a massive forensic investigation revealed a much darker truth. The digital wallets had been completely emptied months before his sudden death. Cotton had been secretly gambling away his clients' money on other exchanges and lost it all. Dying was simply his ultimate, perfectly timed exit strategy. Fact 27. The Brazilian Mirage. Just a decade ago, Ike Batista was the 7th richest man in the world, with a net worth of $30 billion. He famously promised to overtake Bill Gates. His massive oil company, OGX, was drilling deep offshore wells, and Batista confidently swore to investors that they were sitting on oceans of crude oil. He parked a $1 million sports car in his living room to project absolute dominance. But when the actual drilling results came back, it was a total disaster. There was no oil. There was sand, water, and his own massive ego. His $30 billion empire completely evaporated faster than water on a hot stove. He went from the king of Brazil to a man who owed billions, proving that a confident presentation is no substitute for actual physics. Fact 28. The Teenage Wall Street Fraud. In the greed-fueled 1980s, America was utterly obsessed with young, self-made prodigies. Barry Minkow started a carpet cleaning company called ZZZZ Best in his garage while still in high school. By the time he was 21, he took the company public on Wall Street, reaching a massive valuation of $280 million. But the entire company was a ghost. 80% of his revenue was completely fabricated. He borrowed heavy money from the mafia to pay off his corporate debts. To fool a team of serious financial auditors, he once rented an entire empty office building, hired amateur actors to look busy, and had them aggressively answer dead telephones. He received 25 years in federal prison instead of a Hollywood Business Award. Fact 29. The French Rockefeller. This French con artist traveled to the glamorous world of Hollywood and confidently introduced himself as a wealthy member of the legendary Rockefeller family. Yes, he spoke with a thick, incredibly noticeable French accent, but he just casually explained that his mother was from Paris. Shockingly, the elite celebrities of Los Angeles accepted this without question. He married a Playboy model, lived in actor Mickey Rourke's mansion, and swindled millions from wealthy victims by promising to double their investments. He never directly asked for cash. He just aggressively flaunted a luxurious lifestyle paid for by previous victims, and people practically begged him to take their money. He exposed the pathetic desperation hiding behind Hollywood's glittering gates. Fact 30. The fake international airport Nigerian advance fee scams are a classic internet joke, but Emmanuel Nwude didn't send a poorly spelled email. He went straight to the top. In 1995, he impersonated the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria and pitched a massive deal to the director of a major Brazilian bank. The pitch? Fund the construction of a brand new, multi-million-dollar international airport in the Nigerian capital. The airport did not exist. There were no blueprints and no construction workers. Yet, the Brazilian bank director was so blinded by the promise of a massive personal commission that he secretly wired $242 million to Nwude over 3 years. He bought a phantom runway in the empty jungle, pulling off the largest bank fraud in history prior to the digital age. So there you have it. 30 of the most audacious, spectacular, and utterly devastating scams in human history. From selling monuments to fabricating entire nations, these stories prove one terrifying constant. The human brain is highly susceptible to a confident smile and a promise of unearned wealth. Before you hand over your hard-earned cash to the next charismatic visionary, take a step back and ask yourself if you're buying a piece of the future or just another Brooklyn Bridge. The world isn't divided into good people and bad people. It's divided into those who know how the game is played and the absolute suckers funding the prize pool. If you actually manage to sit through this entire video without realizing you've been scammed at least once in your life, congratulations on your blissful ignorance. If you survived the brutal truth, drop a comment saying, "I survived," with a skull emoji down below. Prove you're not just another mark waiting to be fleeced. We'll be watching.